So Naafiri's been out for a few days now, and so far everything that I've said in my Day 1 Naafiri guide does seem to be coming true, right? The only exception is that the attack speed text that I proposed, like Hail of Blades and Berserker's Greaves, the play rate is too small to really have statistics to back up my claim right now. Electrocute's doing great. We did say it would be better in short trades, so I will just continue to feel it out and see if there's a place for these attack speed texts. The interesting thing, though, the one thing I was explicitly wrong about was the value of Conqueror. I expected Conqueror to be very low value. I thought Naafiri would be the type of champion where you stack it but then have nothing to do with it, or you play a slow poke pattern like Talon before you commit, except you don't have a safety to match, right? I wasn't expecting very big things from it because I was really focusing my testing efforts on PBE onto her core assassin pattern and really just mathing out the attack speed stuff, right? Now, I don't know for sure why Conqueror is super performant. I haven't done practical testing. I'm only speculating, right? But I think it must have something to do with packmate DPS and how we're underestimating it just in terms of Naafiri spending auto attacks and being reinforced by her passive, right? Interestingly enough, Stridebreaker, which we didn't mention in the video but mentioned a lot in our follow-up discussions, it's doing great. It's genuinely doing outstanding, and it is supporting the idea that just DPS Bruiser Naafiri is somewhat legitimate, right? Now that actually bodes well for the attack speed tech that I suggested just in the assassin department, right? But yeah, we're gonna see how far this Bruiser Naafiri thing goes. Whether it is just like an Eclipse thing. I think I did read some statistics that imply I was right about Cleaver first being better than Eclipse first. If you're going that route, like Cleaver Stridebreaker even could be a good idea. So yeah, nothing super concrete. I just needed to put it out there as soon as possible that I was wrong about one very important thing, right? So Naafiri's been out for about 10 days, which means it's a good time to check in on my biggest standing question from our testing on PBE, which is Hail of Blades versus First Strike. Now, to kind of orient everybody about where I was before, I said on Naafiri's release that I expected Hail of Blades to be her generically best keystone. Why did I say this? Because her packmates scale with 100% of her attack speed, and in testing, any source of attack speed we could justify running was greater all-in damage than any of the alternatives, right? So we said Electrocute would be better for laning because it procs under QQ trades, but Hail of Blades would be overall better for any situation where you could just jump on a guy and try to kill them, right? I also said something similar about, running Berserker's Greaves. It's a low investment way of getting that attack speed, of getting that extra damage. It turns out, though, as we've kind of understood more about the champion, that was a little wrong. Because one of the big questions we kept getting was, is Hail of Blades better than First Strike, which is generically a better rune on most assassins, right? And so now that I've had time to look into it, running Hail of Blades seems to be optimizing only around our best case, right? If we're running First Strike, I from what I can tell, it's roughly the same damage, but then we're also empowering our Qs, which means we're better in any situation that isn't just jumping on somebody. And then we're getting the extra gold, which any assassin would appreciate, especially one as simple as Naafiri, who's really snowball dependent, right? And as for Berserker's Greaves, running those over Lucidity Boots mean that we don't have as many options to fish with Q. So again, Berserker's Greaves are best case optimization only. Now, that doesn't mean that these aren't good options sometimes. I'd imagine that since this is a simple champion like Garen, there will be matchup-specific opportunities to go into Hail of Blades or go into Berserker's Greaves, but I'm well beyond calling them best in slot now, right? It does seem like the champion is way more built around her Q than I expected, and I even said she would be built entirely around her Q, right? So, unfortunate L for me, but that's okay, because we live and learn. So Naafiri's been out for about a month now, which means that the Day 1 Naafiri guide is also almost a month old. And I'm really happy to report that it's aged very well so far. We were very accurate in how the champion works, and we've only had to issue small corrections in terms of runes and itemization as we started to learn more about the champion. That said, since the champion is a month old, we've learned even more since her release. And so I just want to talk about a few of those new concepts. First of all, Naafiri top lane has sort of become a legitimate niche pick, right? I didn't think it would be very good at all. In the video, I mentioned how I don't think assassin top lanes are generically very good. It's hard for them to burst out durable picks. And especially one that has very poor escape. I didn't expect Naafiri top to be good at all, right? But what I overlooked is that, well, first of all, we didn't know at the time how good some of those bruiser builds were, like a Stridebreaker core or an Eclipse core, and especially just how good Conqueror was. But secondly, the champ just has good poke, like really good poke, especially into melees. Which is funny, because we even mentioned how, you know, she's a little better at trading into mages than the average assassin if they disrespect her. The melees don't even have to disrespect her. She's just good at trading. Now, granted, there are still some really unplayable matchups. That Renekton matchup looks miserable. Like, anything that can just look at her trying to poke them out and say, you know what, I just want to burst you out instead, and you can't retaliate very well. She's still not going to have a good time. And in general, I still don't think the champion is super, super, super good competitively. But yeah, Naafiri top is worth looking at, especially in solo queue. And mentioning matchups, right? I personally haven't gone very far in studying them. I was confident enough that, you know, my knowledge is good for my purposes. That said, like, you know, the obvious ones have come up. Yeah, Malzahar is atrocious for her. As we predicted, anything that has a tool that just kind of stops her from engaging onto you is a negative matchup. But we missed a trading pattern that does make some of those matchups a little easier. You're totally allowed to just fire a Q, see if it lands, and then commit your full all-in combo, which... the fact that I didn't see that... you know, I think I looked at her, and I just looked at her as a simple champion, and I tried to over-optimize the math, and I didn't look for, like, these tiny little mechanical optimizations, because there just weren't going to be very many. But, you know, now that we have the knowledge on top lane, now that we've started to refine our matchups a little bit, now that we understand the trading pattern that's been missed, I'm confident that we have everything we need to know for a beginner Naafiri player. So, you know, good job, everybody. And of course, if there's anything that I missed, like any matchups that you know more about, any like critical concepts that have still somehow gone over my head and you'd like to help the entire community improve, just leave what you've learned about Naafiri in the comments on this video as well.